You're listening to the Third Down Squad podcast, the best international news podcast for the National Football League. We're your hosts, Derek, Josh, and Toby. Let's get you ready for a new set of downs on Sunday.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to week 15 of the NFL season. This is the Third Down Squad podcast, bringing you another week of NFL breakdown and news. Of course, I'm Derek on the left. That's Josh in the middle. Toby's on the right. And before we get into our recap, as we normally start our podcasts, I'm going to do a quick thing about the Chargers and Chiefs game, which is going to be on Thursday Night Football. The much anticipated game of the week, as many people would put it, considering this game will determine who's going to be first place in the AFC and could determine who gets home field advantage from the rest of the time. The main question, and I'll start with you, Josh. Do you think that the Chargers can win this game tonight without Austin Eckler, and if Melvin Gordon is not able to play, without Melvin as well?
I don't think that they'll be able to win because Melvin Gordon's proven as a very vital point to the Chargers offense up to this point, relieving stress and pressure off of Philip Rivers. So you're going to see a lot more pressure tonight with the Chiefs front defensive line finally reaching to Philip Rivers as he just pressured like he used to be without Melvin Gordon beforehand. So I don't think they're going to get it done. It's going to be a Chiefs win.
All right, Toby, what do you think?
I think the Chiefs will have a tough time against a really strong Chargers defense. And you've seen what the Chiefs offense can do against good defenses. And they didn't particularly look really good against especially the pass rush. When their opponents have a good pass rush, Patrick Mahomes usually struggles a lot. So I think the Chargers will win it, but it will be a close one, so it could go both ways. But in the end, I think the offense for the Chargers is just as strong for I would say struggling offensive line in Kansas City right now. So I'm giving it on to the Chargers defense in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you as well, Toby. I think that even without the running backs, if they did have Melvin Gordon or Austin Eckler, then I definitely believe that they would win this game. I still think they can because Philip Rivers has been playing really well. The Chargers almost beat Kansas City earlier in the year, but they had a case of a bunch of drop passes from the receivers. Their receivers, and Keenan Allen especially, has picked up their games a lot. Obviously, having Joey Bosa and Derwin James in the defense for the Chargers has increased in potential a lot. I do think the Chargers will win this game. I think it'll be a close game, but I think the Chargers overall are a much better team right now. All right, so now we're going to move on to our NFL recap from last week's games. There was a bunch of interesting ones. And I think one that Toby and I will definitely touch on is the Patriots and the Dolphins one. But Toby, why don't you go ahead and start us with last week's recap?
Yeah, with last week's recap, I gotta say my bold predictions that I made that I really didn't think that would pay off for me. If you have watched that podcast, they were. I gotta admit, there were some stupid picks in there, but they paid off last week with Miami winning against New England, which, I mean, it wasn't that much a stupid pick because New England came in there and lost 5 out of the last 6 games, and they lost again on, which admittedly was a stupid last play by Miami, which should never have resulted in the touchdown by Kenyon Drake. But, I mean, when the Patriots are, I gotta use the word again, stupid enough to play Rob Gronkowski as a deep safety like they did, what are you expecting to achieve there? And, of course, another game, you guys picked the Ravens, I picked the Chiefs. The Chiefs got the win in overtime at home.
Only because Lamar and Joe Flacco were both injured and had to bring in RG3.
Yeah, true. It was a lucky guess, but, I mean, like I said, I had some stupid picks in there, and it paid off. And another game that we had differently were the Cleveland Browns against Carolina, which
No, don't even get me started on that one. That was
I don't
ridiculous.
what's going on with the Browns right now. They look like a different team.
They're offensively just playing at a much higher level than what they're used to right
They
now.
At this rate, they're going to make it into the hunt for the AFC playoff picture. They just got to keep.
it's not even that impossible that they actually made the playoffs.
Yeah, there is a scenario where it can happen.
It's
Yeah, I
just
mean,
nice to see them
the
trending in
only
right
thing
direction.
that doesn't really seem that possible is that the Ravens lose 2 more games.
Right.
Other than
I-
that,
I
all the
don't
other
think they do.
scenarios with Pittsburgh losing 2 games, and I think Cincinnati has to lose 1 or something, and it's not that impossible for the Browns to actually
It's not.
get into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's not
And
possible.
the last game, of course, was the Sunday night game between the Chicago Bears and the LA Rams. I said it before when Derek, you asked about Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Chargers. It was the same way with the Rams and the Bears. The Rams also struggle against good defenses, and Chicago right now has one of the better defenses in the league. Especially, I think they have the best pass rush right now with Khalil Mack.
Yeah, and especially when you're in Chicago in that kind of weather environment, I mean, it makes a difference to a team that's not used to playing in that kind of condition.
Yeah, so, and of course the Rams offense struggled a little bit over the last 3 games as well,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
which is, we've talked about this in our podcast as well. I bring it back to Cooper Kupp being injured. It's just one of the main
they are
weapons
missing
for the offense is missing in LA right now, or for not for the Rams. But yeah, still, it was a crazy week, but I mean, it's the NFL right now. You don't really have an underdog in it in most games anymore. Everybody can win any game right now.
Yep, that's one reason why we love the NFL. All right, Josh, what was your takes from last week?
My biggest take was just watching the Steelers start to implode. I mean, it is happening, and it's happening fast. I think right now, aren't they the 4th spot in the AFC playoff picture right now?
Yeah, they're the winner
dropping.
or the first place of the
they
AFC
lose
North
next
right now.
week. They lose this week against the Patriots, and the Ravens win. They replace them in the playoff spot.
Yeah. They're just lucky that the Ravens lost to the Chiefs. Otherwise, we'd be talking about how the Ravens jumped the Steelers. But because the Chiefs beat the Ravens, they're still behind them. All right, so also, the biggest surprise to me was watching the Colts take out the Texans in, I think it was overtime, right? It was overtime.
No, it was not overtime.
It was regular time.
We held them, and then we got Jadeveon Clowney to jump on a 3rd down and short, and we won the game by that.
Yeah, because I swore I might have been like hallucinating at another game that went into overtime, but I thought I saw an OT. But anyway, it was nice to see 24-21 with the Colts winning.
Yes.
The Texans streak started with the Colts and it ended with the Colts. That's how I like it.
Yep, and I was going to talk about that in my thing as well. Yeah, I think I'm not going to dispute anything you guys said. I'm not really going to talk too much more about those. I think the one game that I was severely impressed with was the Giants this week. We saw a tremendous blowout win. I know it's against the Redskins, I understand, but the Giants got off to such a hot start, scoring over 40 points in that game. I mean, to be completely honest, I know that the Giants have made their way out of the top 5 as I predicted, because their offense is moving at a very good level with Saquon Barkley and obviously Odell Beckham performing again. I think the Giants are now a team that not many teams want to face right now if you don't have a defense, because that Giants team is very tough to beat. And staying in that in that division, the Cowboys pulling off an upset win against the Eagles, and I say it's an upset because the Eagles should have won that game. I think, like most people, I thought they kind of got robbed at the end of that, and that Amari Cooper catch late in that game to win it. That one was a lucky catch if I ever could see one. But Yeah, I mean the NFC East, has a couple of tough opponents, two of which the Colts have to face these upcoming weeks, and we'll continue to talk about that as time goes along. But I think that's enough of our recap, and it's now time to go to our two favorite teams. We're going to start it with the Indianapolis Colts. Josh, please take it away as to what did the Colts do right to win against the Texans?
Honestly, what I think they did right was they kept fighting. That's what it was. They never gave up. I mean, the Texans came out with a strong start with a rushing touchdown by, I believe, Alfred Blue. And
Start of the game.
The start of the game. But did that phase them at all? No. And you could really see it, too. I mean, I know it was like an early 7-0 lead, but everybody, including myself, thought that was going to be the tempo of the game where they just run the ball down there. J.J. Watt would get through our offensive line, and as all the Texans game has been in the past 4 years with that horrible offensive line.
Right.
But the offensive line now, I mean, sure, Kelly is still questionable on returning, I believe. Mm-hmm. And with Quentin Nelson there, though, and Braden Smith, they added a new attitude to that offensive line that made Luck feel safe.
And I will just add this, Josh. Ryan Kelly did return to practice today. So there is a possibility he could play this week against Dallas, and that would be very needed.
That's going to be a battle of the offensive lines, that's for sure. That's going to be a good one. But anyway, back to the Texans game. I mean, just to get Jadeveon Clowney, an experienced outside linebacker, and often a right end or left end, to jump on 3rd and inches, that takes a lot. And he's usually not one to jump, so they got the tempo and everything. And then let's just give it to the old man, Adam Vinatieri, just to seal the deal with the finest field goal you could ever see this season. I know it may or may not have looked pretty to other people, but to me, as long as it made it through that crossbar, it was pretty to me.
Yeah, I didn't even see that. I wasn't streaming it at the time. I just saw on fantasy 54-yard field goal. I was like, yes.
No, you weren't. You were more like, hell yeah!
Yeah, I mean, it was hard to watch that game and not be happy to be a Colts fan. Like you said, Josh, week 5, the Texans beat us, and then 9 games later, haven't lost, and then we end that streak. I mean, it's crazy just to think of what the Colts are doing right now. You know that since week 7, they've had the most efficient defense in the NFL. I know that we haven't faced a whole lot of great offenses. That Texans offense was the first real offense that we faced, but it goes to show you they had a great game plan. They kept Deshaun Watson from being able to scramble, and he didn't really get to make plays with his feet, which is how he killed us last time. And then DeAndre Hopkins was a non-contributor, having only 3 catches in that game. And then Danico Autry, the new defensive lineman that we got, was named AFC Defensive Player of the Week due to having 4 tackles for a loss and 2 of those being sacks. And I mean, I can't give enough credit to the defense. The defense has been a bend but not break defense. They are not giving up the big plays and the consistent big drives that have been killing us for so many years. And then obviously, Andrew Luck struggled early. He struggled in that first half for a little bit, but finally started catching up to speed. He started to complete a lot more of his passes. That one throw to Zach Pascal was really sweet. I think the route was even sweeter than the throw, but just goes to show Andrew Luck is just, again, having the greatest season of his career. Has almost a 100 passer rating. That's almost 10% higher than his normal average. He has 3,800 yards on the season, has 34 touchdowns. Those are going to get broken before then. Again, the fewest sacks that he's ever taken. He was sacked twice in that game. And usually against the Texans, J.J. Watt by himself is getting 2 sacks, along with Jadeveon Clowney being back there too. I mean, it was a really good game. That first half, I think J.J. Watt had 1 QB hit on him, and Jadeveon Clowney didn't have anything. So it's good to see, even with Ryan Kelly out, that the offensive line for the Colts is still holding up. I mean, I'm sure Andrew Luck would rather get sacked twice per game for the rest of his career than get sacked 4 or 5 times a game. But yeah, like I said again, Ryan Kelly's going to be coming back. That definitely brings a level back to our offense. Again, this team is just performing. T.Y. Hilton was great. Ebron is again being great. I could just keep going with this team. I really could, but it's great to see the Colts doing what they're doing and still in contention for a playoff spot. I thought they were done last week after that loss to Jacksonville, but now all of a sudden they turn the screws on it again. There is still a possibility. All right. I think we said enough about the Colts, Josh. Toby, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Saints?
Yeah, all right. My Saints. I mean, you really saw the two faces of the New Orleans Saints right now in that game on Sunday against the Buccaneers. In the first half, I don't know what they did there. They couldn't score. They couldn't get any offensive plays on the field. They were lucky to even have a score on the board by halftime, and the Bucs scored 2 touchdowns, having 14 points on the board by halftime. It looked like the Bucs would blow out the Saints easily at home, but then the Saints came back out of halftime and scored. I think it was 2 touchdowns and a couple of field goals in the second half, and I mean, they didn't allow any points of the Buccaneers in the second half. They looked like a completely different game. It looked like they completely changed their whole team during the 15-minute halftime there. And I mean, one of the notes that I had in that game in the first half, they were forcing the run play. In the first couple of drives, they were running the ball constantly, getting no yards. They had 3 rushing yards in the first half with 2 running backs of Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. Why are you trying to keep running the ball when you know that it doesn't work against the Buccaneers? Try to establish the passing play when you have a quarterback like Drew Brees and a wide receiver like Michael Thomas. Of course, you got to run the ball a couple of times, but don't force the ball. Don't run it twice on a first and second down every time you get a new set of downs, and then just pass it on third down and hope that Drew Brees can convert it on a pass. I mean, that's what's been bugging me for the last couple of years with Sean Payton, and that's always when they have bad games. Of course, when they have a good running game, usually the Saints have the games like they did against the Redskins and the Rams, or that they had this year, where they were just blowing out their opponents and were dominating them. And then when it doesn't really flow like it should, Sean Payton always tries to force the run game. And I think that's kind of the wrong mentality for the Saints right now. They should try to pass more with Drew Brees and give him the opportunity more often to get a new first down, and not just, okay, let's run the ball on first and second down and maybe get a yard and then have a 3rd and 9 and put all the pressure on Drew Brees to convert that one pass. And right now we only have one real wide receiver that is established in the team with Michael Thomas. All the other guys are either second or first year players on the team, and all of them are undrafted free agents. So you can't really put the pressure on them to catch the ball in a situation like that when you have to convert a third down on your own side of the field. And one other thing that I noticed as well that is different in the way that the Saints play their games right now compared to the 10 weeks that they were just dominating every team that they played, or it was not 10 weeks, but it was probably 8 weeks in the season, is that they don't really play Taysom Hill on offense anymore. In the first half, I think they had one play where Taysom Hill was on the field on offense. Usually, Taysom Hill would be on the field at least twice, or for a drive when they were playing really well. So I think it's a reason that helped the Saints when Taysom Hill is on the field, because it creates confusion on defense side of the field, because they don't know what's coming. Taysom Hill can do it all, so why not use him more? That's one of the things that might have been an earlier game break for the Saints, not in the third quarter when Taysom Hill got the blocked punt. And I mean, you see, Taysom Hill, game changer. But why not try to bring him in, and him being the game changer on offense and not just special teams like they did, like I said, at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I agree.
And one more thing, I gotta mention it again. I already said it about the Cowboys game. What are the officials doing in these games?
Yeah.
Oh my. I think I at least saw 4 or 5 holds in the first half by the Buccaneers offensive line that should have been called. Nothing. They just can't pass the ball. The drive continues and they score. What's going on? And one thing that I don't know what the officials did there as well on Sunday was they didn't pump up the clock for the Saints. Drew Brees asked for it twice. Usually it was a situation, usually they have to pump up the clock. They were substituting the defense with I think it was 8 seconds left on the play clock, and the ref was standing over the ball.
Yeah, I saw that. They forced them to call a timeout. I'm like,
twice.
That's ridiculous.
They did it twice.
Doesn't make any sense.
Why aren't you not pumping up the play clock?
Or letting them play? Like you can't call as if Dallas wants to make a substitution at that late in the game clock, then go right ahead and do that. But it makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints are always substituting the players really late on offense as well, so defense has to react on it. But then you have to reset the clock to 25 seconds.
Yeah.
It was,
and then obviously the hit on Alvin Kamara, that was obviously
that was against the Cowboys. That was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that was when. So, but I mean, it was 2 weeks in a row. But I mean, in the Cowboys game, they had a couple of calls that went in favor of the Saints. But in the Bucs game, it felt like they just called the game for the Bucs. But yeah, that's my take for the Saints. But at least they won in the end. But yeah.
We'll take wins any way we can get them. All right, well, that's enough of our teams. We're gonna now move on to our award predictions. These are the guys who we think are going to most likely win these awards, or who we think they should win. We have our MVP, our offensive and defensive players of the year, our offense and defensive rookies of the year, and our comeback players. And for this, we're going to start with Toby.
All right. Yeah. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the graphic on your screen right now. And my MVP is still Drew Brees. Yeah, he struggled a little bit over the last 2 weeks against the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. I mean, the second half of the Bucs game was like the old Drew Brees, or not the old Drew Brees, the Drew Brees from the beginning and the middle of the season. But, I mean, he still makes a team work, like I said, with one receiver that is really established in the league and on the team. All the other guys don't have much experience and are not really great wide receivers, but Drew Brees can still make him look good, and that's why I'm picking him over Patrick Mahomes right now. Patrick Mahomes, for me, yeah, he is the spectacular, flashy guy on the field right now, with his no-look pass against Baltimore and all that stuff.
That was pretty sick.
It was pretty sick, but I mean, it's for the highlight reels, but he's not quite at the level that Drew Brees is, and he can make wide receivers better than they are. So I'm giving it to Brees. Then I'm coming to my comeback play of the year. I mean, it's between 2 players there as well. It's between Andrew Luck and some say it's J.J. Watt. sorry, JJ, you'd get that award any year, but this year, Andrew Luck came back as well, and he's just getting the Colts to a whole different level than they were last season. So it's pretty clear to me that Andrew Luck is the winner of the Comeback Player of the Year award. For Offensive Player of the Year, I'm going with Todd Gurley from the LA Rams. I mean, that guy he's the best running back in the league, and for me, he should even be in the conversation for MVP with Drew Brees and Patrick Mahomes, because he just takes the offense in LA to a whole nother level. I don't think Jared Goff would be able to perform with any other running back, or not any other running back, but with a running back on a lesser level than Todd Gurley. And he just helps the Rams so much that I'm giving him the award of Offensive Player of the Year right there. My Defensive Player of the Year is Khalil Mack. He's another player that takes his team to a whole nother level. I don't think the Bears would be in the conversation of being contenders for the Super Bowl if they wouldn't have traded for Khalil Mack. So it's a close race between him and Aaron Donald, but I don't think Aaron Donald has that much impact on the Rams compared to the impact that Khalil Mack did. Of course, Aaron Donald also has a huge impact on the Rams, but it's just not that much. My Offensive Rookie of the Year, I think Offensive Rookie is pretty easy with Saquon Barkley. There are other players on there that should be evaluated differently, like offensive linemen. But when does an offensive lineman win Offensive Rookie of the Year? So I'm giving it to the running.
When was the last time an Offensive Rookie of the Month was ever decided by a lineman?
Yeah, true. So I gotta go with the best skill player in the rookie class right now, and that's Saquon Barkley. And for my Defensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going with Bradley Chubb. And the guy came in Denver and he has 12 sacks on the year right now. He's almost at the same level as Von Miller right now. And
I'm somewhat triggered by this pick, honestly. I'm a little triggered.
Yeah, I know who you guys got, but your guy Darius Leonard at the Colts, I gotta give it away right now. I think the conversation right now is, should it be Darius Leonard or Leighton Vander Esch? And most people overlook Bradley Chubb. But I'm giving it to Bradley Chubb. It's my opinion on a Defensive Rookie of the Year. But yeah, these are my 6 awards right now. And yeah.
All right, Josh. I know you're probably going to have some not so kind words for Toby after seeing that. Let's go ahead and see Josh's people here for these awards.
All right. So for those of you not watching the YouTube video, I pretty much have the same as Toby when it comes to MVP with Drew Brees. He's just been very consistent regardless of how that Cowboys game was and how the Tampa Bay game was. But other than that, he's easy MVP award. Press F in chat from Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to get MVP. Comeback Player of the Year, Andrew Luck by far. He's done remarkable this season. Enough said. There you go. My Offensive Player of the Year is Tyreek Hill. Because with what happened to... I was going to give it to Kareem Hunt originally when I'm thinking about this, but then what happened about a week or two ago changed my mind. And just seeing how Tyreek Hill had turned around the offense of the Kansas City Chiefs, he's actually become a pretty reliable target over the past season as well.
Hmm.
And I think that between him and Kelsey, I think it revolves more around Tyreek Hill because he has the speed to get open. And that's just what I believe. Tyreek Hill is going to get Offensive Player of the Year. Now, Defensive Player of the Year, I'm with Toby on this one with Khalil Mack, the big Mac Daddy, because he's just turned that Bears defense around to the point where they rival the 2006 Bears defense. The one with Brian Urlacher, the one that got into the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're nothing like the 86 Bears. They can't get to that point at all, but they're a pretty lethal defense, and you got to give credit when credit is due, and that's to Khalil Mack. Now, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Oh, boy, howdy. I have Quentin Nelson getting this one. And I know this is a little bit of fan bias right here, but it's always the quiet ones. Remember that. It's always the quiet ones. Because, I mean, he's had just as big of an impact as Saquon Barkley had with the Giants and how Baker Mayfield's had with the Browns. It's just he's at a different position that doesn't get nearly enough attention that he should.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think he deserves Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie Player of the Year, excuse me. Just because he's turned that whole franchise around with that offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, as Toby alluded to, I got to give it to Darius Leonard. He's just done remarkable stuff. What was it, Derek, that you said his stats?
135 tackles with 11 tackles for loss and has 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, an interception, and I think he has something else that's over Leighton Vander Esch.
Yeah, 7 sacks.
7 sacks. Also leads the league in tackles with that number.
Yep, enough said. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Darius Leonard, the steal of the draft in the second round. Derek, I'm going to take it to you now, and you can defend him for me as well.
All right, I will certainly do that. All right, we're going to bring up my predictions here on the field here. Gosh, the MVP, I was one of those guys that said, I'm not ready to give it to Patrick Mahomes. But after what I've seen the last 2 weeks, considering Drew Brees did fall flat quite a bit in the last 2 weeks, Andrew Luck, despite a great game against a good Texans defense, Patrick Mahomes still put up very good numbers, especially against a very good Ravens defense, minus with the absence of Kareem Hunt. Given all that has happened this week, Patrick Mahomes has finally put that swagger back. To me, the Kansas City Chiefs are like the Toronto Raptors of the NFL. Everybody says this is the year. This is the year they do it. They get to that big stage. But this year, I think it's completely different because you have a better roster. You have the same good head coach. I think that if you changed a few things around, then it makes things better. And I use the same argument for him as I did for Andrew Luck in years past. He has no defense. We often forget about that. They have one of the worst defenses. They're the bottom 5 of defenses in the entire NFL, but yet they win 10 out of 12 games. They win majority of their games because of Patrick Mahomes. So that's why I'm giving him the MVP. I changed my mind on my view of him. Comeback Player of the Year, as we have already said, Andrew Luck, given everything that he's done, coming back from a terrible shoulder problem to having his greatest statistical year to date, there's no question whether or not he should get it. Offensive Player of the Year, along with Toby, went with Todd Gurley. Just with his ability and what he's done in the first half of the season been absolutely insane. He adds a dynamic to that offense that a lot of people don't see. And Defensive Player of the Year, I am going to give it to this time. It was a very close pick between Khalil Mack and Aaron Donald. I think a lot of people think Khalil Mack helped make the Bears what they are. And he certainly did help contribute to that. But I think he has more help on his defensive side to make that team better than what Aaron Donald has on that defense for them. Again, I know they have a decent secondary. I know with Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib, but those guys are either injured or they're very inconsistent at times. And Aaron Donald did not have a sack through the first 3 weeks. And then after that, now has over 17 sacks on the year. He had 17 sacks in a matter of 9 weeks. That's absolutely insane numbers. Khalil Mack has Raquan Smith going across the middle, who's a phenom at linebacker we don't talk about enough. Eddie Jackson, who's probably the best safety in football. I mean, it's hard to just say Khalil Mack is the only reason that the Bears defense is elite. Aaron Donald is the reason that the Rams even have a defense. And then offensive rookie of the year. This one was tough between Baker Mayfield and Saquon Barkley because they both have transformed their franchises. They both have given their teams kind of a spark compared to what they had last year. But given what Saquon has done to add a different level to that offense, and especially with an offensive line that is one of the worst offensive lines in football, what the numbers he's able to put up and the impact he makes is just absolutely insane. And especially when you think about it, his usage rate is insane. He has 80 catches on the year as well. That's insane. A lot of receivers don't get that many targets. So I got to give it to Saquon by a little bit. And again, you all knew this was coming. Defensive rookie of the year has to be Darius Leonard. You can't ignore the facts. Leads the league leads the NFL in tackles. And especially as a rookie, that is just unheard of. Many people said he was going to be the worst draft pick in all of the draft last year, but he leads the league in tackles. He's top 10 in sacks. He's amongst linebackers. He's top 10 in tackles for loss. He's top 10 in takeaways with 4 takeaways, 4 fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and a touchdown. And just given what he's done for this defense for the Colts, he's just added another level, again, like what Aaron Donald does. So those are my 6 picks with Patrick, Luck, Gurley, Donald, Barkley, and Leonard.
All right. So,
all right, Toby, I think you want to get to our news around the NFL.
Yeah, we got the next segment, and like Derek already said, we got our news around the NFL. And first off, we're going with the Oakland Raiders, who pulled off a pretty miraculous win last week against the Steelers. And they fired their GM after that game. Reggie McKenzie is no more in Oakland. And my question there to you guys for the discussion about the topic is, are the Raiders giving too much power to coach John Gruden?
Yes, they are. They're giving up too much. I mean, I know that they won another game against the Steelers, who again have been struggling lately. I still have no clue how Oakland won that game. That was not a game they should have won or were supposed to win. But I mean, I still think they're just going to be relying on John Gruden too much over a span of time. And I mean, the whole Oakland organization is in shambles right now. They won't have a place to play next year as of right now. They're getting sued by the city of Oakland because of lost revenue. The whole organization is in a little bit of a sham right now, but time will tell on that one. But right now, I do think they're giving a little too much power to John.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you guys this. Does John Gruden have a license to be a carpenter by chance? Is he a carpenter that I just don't know? Because he just walked in there and just threw everything out, including the kitchen sink. I mean, that's ridiculous. He goes, all right, I'm going to make it my way. Are you going to do anything about it? No, they just stepped aside because they're going like, holy crap, we have John Gruden. We have a chance to win. Khalil Mack goes. Amari Cooper goes. Who's next? I mean, it's ridiculous there. I wouldn't be surprised if Derek Carr is the next to go, regardless of how Gruden thinks of him. Because, and then, like you said, just how they're getting sued by the city of Oakland, you know, and how they won't have a place to play next season. It's just too much going on. And John Gruden, he's just, like you said there, he's just got too much power. It's ridiculous. I never seen a coach take control of a team that much to the point where the GM is fired. And sure, they have a lot of draft picks, but guess who's going to be the one saying that? It's not the GM like everybody thinks it is. It's going to be John Gruden sitting there next to the phone saying, All right, grab me a Corona, and I'll send in the draft here.
Gruden hotline.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Gruden hotline there. It's not the Raiders phone. It's the Gruden hotline. There you go. That's why I think, yes, John Gruden does have a lot more power.
Yeah, well, that's for sure that he has a lot more power. And I mean, I'm starting to kind of see the plan of John Gruden, I think. I think he has a plan, and that's why their GM had to go, because everybody knew John Gruden and Reggie McKenzie were not on the same page in Oakland at all. But
Yes, but if your plan is to trade away top talent, then he's doing a very good job.
yeah, I mean, I still don't understand why they traded away Khalil Mack or Amari Cooper. I'm not saying that I totally understand John Gruden at all, but I kind of see what they're going for. They kind of going for a kind of new team for Las Vegas, but I agree with you. He's got too much power. They need a GM that kind of stops John Gruden at some point so he doesn't go too crazy, which admittedly he already has. But yeah, let's see who they get as GM. I mean, they probably just get some guy that they call GM, but in the background it's gonna be John Gruden.
Ryan Grigson is in the background somewhere saying, this is my time to ruin the Oakland Raiders any more than what they already are.
Never bring his name up in my presence ever again.
I know, he's so terrible. I'm sorry.
Norris Jenkins. Let's grab Philip Dorsett because we need another wide receiver.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
No. His only good pick was Ryan Kelly, and that was
Pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, then we're moving on to, well, another discussion-worthy topic that came up this week. And there were rumors by some NFL analysts that Hugh Jackson will take over the Cincinnati Bengals from Marvin Lewis after this season. And, I mean, I know how Josh thinks about Hugh Jackson. So
Hold on.
let Derek start on that one, please.
All right.
If this truly happened, then this is totally a Cincinnati thing to do. Just replace one bad coach with an even worse coach. Yeah, let's promote the guy who is now renowned as the worst coach and the NFL has ever seen, and let's replace him with the guy who was supposed to be fired a decade ago but never was. I mean, it's like a joke. It really is. It makes me laugh when Toby told me that this was a thing. Like, this is literally the funniest thing that could possibly happen, because it's like, you need to get both of these men out of there now. Yeah. Get them away. Never send them back there. This is the worst thing. I honestly think that Hugh Jackson being the head coach of that team is worse than having Marvin Lewis right there right now, and that's saying something. Josh, please take it away.
All right. Yep. Let me add him. All right. Bengals, 2016 Browns 2.0. That's all it's going to be. I mean, you're going to go from a coach that's been there for 15 years, has never won a playoff game, and you're going to replace him with somebody that went 3-37-1. I mean, that's, like you said, Derek, that's a total Bengals thing to do, because apparently they hate winning. They hate winning.
The owner apparently hates winning. I mean, I don't blame their fan base, because their fan base really has no say in it. But their management just stinks.
I mean, sure, Raiders fans have it tough, but the Bengals fans have had it tough for 15 years under Marvin.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to go from a head coach who just doesn't look like he gives a damn on the sidelines to another coach that looks like he doesn't even just want to be there. It's a total Bengals thing. I'm getting worked up for it because it's not my team. The Browns have said kumbaya to him and all that other stuff, and now they're actually looking better than the Bengals. I would be surprised if Andy Dalton or AJ Green want to leave.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. And I mean, you talked about it, but what is going on with teams in Ohio?
I don't understand. It
My God.
flip-flopped. The dumpster fire that was once the Cleveland Browns is now the dumpster fire on the other side of the state.
Yeah. And
Is it sad that Ohio State has more championships than both of the NFL teams there?
yeah.
Yeah.
That is sad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
that
last
is-
time the Bengals won a playoff game, the Ohio State has won over 2 national championships.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before about Hugh Jackson. He is, at most, a coordinator in the NFL, but he should never be a head coach. And now, I don't know. I thought I'm not seeing right when I saw that headline. I don't know where it came from, or actually, well, I know where it came from, but I can't think about why would the Bengals promote Hugh Jackson to head coach.
Yeah, it's
It-
like it has to be a joke. Like there has to be like a couple of those NFL analysts that like got it together and say,
Probably,
"Oh,
yeah.
this would be a funny joke is to say, oh, the worst coach in NFL history is going to replace possibly the worst coach in the NFL head coaching right now."
Yeah, I hope
If you're
so.
if you're a Bengals fan, you're saying in your head, "Please be fake news. Please be fake news. Please be
Fake
fake
news.
news."
Donald Trump, please be a fake news.
All right,
Ah.
but we're moving on from the Cincinnati Bengals to another AFC team. We're going to Jacksonville, and of course, one clip that made the rounds after last weekend was Leonard Fournette threatening a fan during the game to physical violence. But there were no disciplinary measures by Jacksonville after the incident because Fournette says that it was because the fan used racial slurs against him, which would be nothing new in Jacksonville, to be honest. But the thing is, Leonard Fournette was already suspended for the game before the Tennessee game because he got into a fight on the field with a Bills player, which kind of continued until the tunnels to the locker room, to be honest, and it didn't really cool down at any point that was seen on the cameras. So is there any concern about anger issues with Leonard Fournette right now?
I really don't think so. I think that, we try to say that, we want guys to really express their feelings out on the field. Obviously, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Obviously, fighting a player with his helmet on using your fists obviously is not a very smart thing to do. But I mean, it's not like that we've never experienced it before. Guys do it all the time. And I mean, of course, the fans taunting and some using racial slurs, unfortunately, we hear a lot more of these stories. Every year we hear a couple of these. Terrell Pryor was a big story about this last year. It happened to him several times. We obviously saw the Seahawks player against Jacksonville who had beer thrown at him by several different fans and tried to hop in and fight some people. And obviously you got Leonard Fournette, and I could keep going on and on. I mean, obviously, if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, you obviously want to talk to him and say, hey, man, this whole thing, with, the violence and everything is obviously starting to get a little out of control. We're going to ask that you try to cool it down a little bit. I completely understand why there should be no action because the NFL needs to try to find the fan who was supposedly said this and needs to obviously investigate that. But I mean, I don't really think he has too much of an issue. I think, he's obviously never really had that many issues up until this year, but of course I could be wrong.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think I guess the Malice at the Palace is probably the biggest example of just ignore the fans, I mean, he shouldn't have really threatened him with physical violence, but I do understand like where he's coming from, just because getting called racial slurs and all that. If I was in his shoes, I think that'd get under my skin too. But you just got to learn to let it go.
Yeah,
and I think the only reason we're having this conversation about his anger management are his past on the field actions. I don't think he really has an anger management problem. I just think it's more of I guess the word to use would probably be, oh God, I'm trying to think of the word right now.
I mean, you're trying to assume that he doesn't have an anger issue. He's sometimes too quick to temper.
Yeah, like that. I mean,
yeah, he has kind of a short fuse.
He does have a little bit of a short fuse.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes him a pretty good running back too. It's just like that short fuse of anger helps you get through like the defense and all that other stuff. And I think for this one though, I think the Jags did the right thing in not really punishing him for this one, just because it'd be hard to find the fan that did this to him.
Yeah,
and just that they're having a bad season this year, and I think that's also playing a part in this too.
Yeah.
That's why I think he doesn't deserve punishment. I don't think he has an anger management problem. He's just, like you say, too quick to temper. So I'm actually glad they didn't punish him for this.
Yeah, I see it the same way, Josh. I think he's kind of on 2 strikes right now with the Bills incident and now the incident in the game against Tennessee. So I kind of think they're looking at it, and I think there were no official measures against him, but I think they told him, okay, 1 more strike, and I don't know, you're suspended for a game or something. Not that it matters this season for the Jags anyway.
Right.
But yeah, I see it the same way. You didn't really see any anger problems on the field by Leonard Fournette until this season. And like Josh already said it, I think that huge gap between how good they were last season and how underperforming they really are this season kind of took a toll on him, and that's why he's kind of reacting differently on the field. But yeah, time will tell if the problems continue or not. Right now, I think it was the correct statement that the Jacksonville Jaguars did with not officially disciplining him.
Right.
But now we have another coaching decision by the Minnesota Vikings, who fired their offensive coordinator, John DeFilippo, this week after a, kind of disappointing run this season so far. But the important question right now is, does it hurt the Vikings in their playoff run right now that they are letting their offensive coordinator go in the middle to end of the season? Just for info, the Vikings are currently in the 2nd position for the wild card in the NFC, but they are only half a game ahead of Carolina, Philadelphia, and Washington, and 1 game ahead of the Packers.
I don't think it really hurts them too much right now. I mean, that we've already seen it. They're kind of limited on their offense simply because of their O-line. Sometimes their playmaking or play calling sometimes is in question. I think he's just as much to do with the problem as is Kirk Cousins, as is the offensive line not performing, as in the defense not being the same defense as it was last year. I think there's just a lot of problems that's going on with the Vikings right now, and I don't think that I don't think the OC was the problem more than Kirk Cousins, the defense, the O-line, all of it.
Yeah, Josh, your thoughts?
I think I'm going to take this as, I think the Vikings just gave up on this season. I just think they did, and that's why they just got rid of him right now, just because their offense compared to their defense has been lackluster, and I think that all they need is an offensive line, but just by firing their OC, with like I believe 2 or 3 games left in the season for them. I think that they just gave up and they just want to start over next season. Even though they're in the second spot, like you said, though, they still have a half-game lead against the Panthers, and I think that they know that the Panthers are going to jump them eventually. So I think that's why they're just cutting the OC now and then just riding out the rest of the season by either making the playoffs or not making the playoffs.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
I actually think that they hurt themselves a little bit, because I see it a little bit differently, Josh, because I think even with the Vikings playing bad right now, look at the teams that are behind them for the hunt for the wildcard spot. Carolina, yeah, is a good team, but they still have to play against the Saints twice this season, which is, if the Saints play like they did in the second half of the Tampa Bay game, should be 2 losses for Carolina. Philadelphia is not the team that they were last year, and Washington, they have their 3rd quarterback in there right now, or 4th quarterback even, after they benched Mark Sanchez last week. And the only team that I can see maybe beating them out for the wildcard spot is the Packers, if they can continue to play like they did against the Falcons in their last game, which kind of, I think, was just a fluke and kind of a hype game after they fired Mike McCarthy. So I think they could have had a good run if they had the established team of coaches in there when they go to the playoffs, to go, maybe if they get the momentum in the wild card round, I think they, talent wise, they could be a contender for a conference championship.
Yeah.
So I think they jumped the gun a little too early. I think it would have done if they just fired him after this season is over. It being after the regular season or even after a couple of games in the playoffs. I think it might bring some confusion into the team that doesn't help them to get far in the playoffs, which they have the chance to be honest.
Yeah, very true.
But yeah, that's the news around the NFL for this week. And now another topic that we got this week are our power rankings after week 14, the top 5 teams of everybody. And I think, Derek, why aren't you starting us off with that one?
All right. I think I have the one that many people are surprised by. I know Josh and Toby don't have the same thing as me here. I'm going to actually go from 5th to number 1, just because that's just how I want to do it this time. 5th is the Rams. Obviously, they're still a very high-powered team with Todd Gurley and Jared Goff and Aaron Donald. But again, Toby and I, Josh and I, were all talking about it earlier. The absence of Cooper Kupp is hurting them. It's one less option that they have to throw, a very good option down the field, and they struggle a lot with the blitz, as we saw from the Bears game. And that's leading into my 4th pick, the Bears. I can't put the Bears behind the Rams right now after what I just saw. The Bears defense is legit. They're the best defense in the league. There's no denying it. That's their identity. And Mitch Trubisky is not, the guy that's going to win you a lot of games. I get that. But if their offense can stay average and their defense keeps doing what they're doing and they stay healthy, that's a team that can make some noise in the NFC. It's possible, because we've seen it in 2015 with the Denver Broncos, who were mostly defense and very little offense. And then number 3 is going to go to the Chargers. Again, I like what I see from them. When they have Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler in the backfield, the 1-2 punch out of the backfield, and with Phillip Rivers having the season that he's having with that wide receiver core, and then the defense is now revamped with Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram both on the D-line, and Derwin James, who's a very good defensive rookie that we don't talk about enough. I think this team overall is just a much better team than most people give them credit for. And then number 2, I got to give to the Saints. Like I said, I'd have them at number 1 if they haven't struggled the last couple weeks. They've struggled a lot. But again, they still have that great 1-2 punch with Ingram and with Kamara. Drew Brees is still playing at a career high, and that defense is still pretty good nonetheless. I still think that if you made them play at home, there's nobody that would really want to play them. And then number one, the new one is the Kansas City Chiefs for me. Kansas City has proven to me that they have the ability to win even without a defense. And Patrick Mahomes is still playing at an elite level, even minus the absence of Kareem Hunt. They went and played a very good defense and won that game. I ultimately think they're my number one.
All right, Derek. There you go. And yeah, interesting top five. I think a lot of people agree with you there. And yeah, Josh, give us your top
On the other
five.
spectrum, let's get ready for mine. This is going to be a wild one for you guys.
All right.
All right, let's throw it up there. Oh my goodness, look at that. Call me Skip Bayless. All right, I'm going to start.
Yes, I will call you that. Skip Bayless. Stop it.
Easy there, Shannon. All right, let's do this. I'm also going to go 5-1. Number 5, I got them Cowboys. Because I think right now they are clicking. And I think that they're going to do fine the rest of the season and stay in the top 4. Derek are giving me that look.
Did Skip get a hold of you or something? Because Stephen A would be very ashamed of you.
Yeah, I know. I just think that the Cowboys are just clicking right now. That's the whole reason I got them right there. And number 4, I got the Bears because of what they did to the Rams last weekend, last Sunday. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, they just held Todd Gurley to practically nothing and made Jared Goff look horrendous. It's ridiculous. Number 3, I got the Chiefs. I mean, they barely beat the Ravens, but I still got them in my top 5 just on the sole fact that they're still so talented on offense, even though Kareem Hunt's not with them anymore. Just the combination of Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey is enough to get them to the playoffs, and that's why I still got my 3. Number 2, I got the Rams. Yeah, I know the Rams lost to the Bears, but still, I just think that they're just still a pretty dominant force, regardless of Cooper Kupp missing. I know that he's still a major part of their offense, but it's just when it comes to the record, they still have a better record against the Bears, even though the Bears won. But at number 1, obviously, it's the Saints. For me, number 1 because of the word consistency. And throughout this season, they've had probably the best offense to defense ratio of any NFL team right now, to where the defense will knock you out on 3 and out, and then the offense would come in and score, and it just feed each other in an endless loop. And that's why I got the Saints at number 1.
All right. To my power rankings, we agree on 4 out of the 5 teams in our power rankings. And I'm also going from 5th to 1st. And at number 5, I know you guys are loving this, Derek and Josh.
Yeah.
At number 5, I got the Indianapolis Colts. For me, you guys had the Cowboys and the Chargers as the 5th team, or Derek even had the Chargers higher.
I had Chargers as my 3rd team, and I had the Rams.
You had them higher as at 3, but I think right now, if you put up the Colts against the Chargers or the Cowboys or any other team that is not the Saints, Bears, Rams, or Chiefs, the Colts will win this game. And that's why I have the Colts at number 5. The Colts are a really good team right now in the league. And if they can stay as hot as they are right now, why not go to the AFC Championship game?
Yep.
At number 4, I have the Chiefs. I don't see them as high as you guys. I definitely don't see them at number 1 right now. Just due to the fact that they really struggled the last 3 weeks right now. The games that they had without Kareem Hunt were all really close. All could have gone a different way. especially last week, the Baltimore game, like we talked about at the beginning of the podcast. Yeah, it was the fact that the Ravens had to play RG3 in that game for a while. And, I mean, the Ravens basically should have won that game, but the Chiefs did. So for me, the Chiefs are only the 4th team in the league right now. At number 3, I got the Rams. 2, 3, Bears, Rams. It was just because of last Sunday's game, and the Bears look like the better team than the Rams. They are ahead of the Chiefs right now just because of the struggles of the Chiefs. And at number 1, the Saints. Yeah, they struggled against the Cowboys and in the first half against Tampa Bay. But when they come back to the usual Saints, like they played in the second half of the Tampa Bay game, where they didn't allow any points to Tampa Bay and scored, I believe, it was 18 points, I believe, in that second half. What you can't really not go with the Saints if they can't get back into the groove.
Enjoy the fact that 4 out of the top 5 teams we all can agree on, and I also enjoy one thing, that the Patriots are not in any of our top 5.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots this season, they don't look like the Patriots anymore.
Yeah, they really don't.
It kind of is kind of weird. And one point that I still have to make on the Saints that I didn't mention yet, I'd rather have the Saints having a slump right now and getting back up with the momentum that they built up from that slump into the playoffs. Because if the Saints get the momentum in the playoffs, they are almost unbeatable. And the one thing that they didn't have in the games that they were just obliterating other teams, it usually was because of the offense and the opponent's offense not playing that well, and not because the defense could stop any other team. And right now, the defense is keeping the offense, despite playing badly in the games. They keep the games close. So if the defense can keep playing at that level and the offense coming back to a level close to that they were playing from week 5 onwards, I don't see any team beating the Saints.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our power rankings right now. And as the last point, like we do always on our podcast, we have the predictions this week for week 15, of course. And we are starting off this week. We have Saturday games. The first Saturday game is between the Houston Texans at the New York Jets.
The Texans will bounce back after their loss. The Jets are just simply no matchup for the Texans. Give me the Texans.
Yeah, I'll take the Texans as well. It's just an unfair matchup, so Texans all the way.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Texans, despite the loss against the Colts. But like I said, I don't have many teams ahead of the Colts right now. And the Jets, one of the worst teams in the league right now, Texans.
Yeah.
The next matchup on Saturday is between the Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos.
If this game was in Cleveland, I might pick them, but with the Broncos finally finding a groove, I think that they'll slow down Baker Mayfield. Give me the Broncos this week.
Oh, boy. Give me the Browns. I like the Browns in this situation here.
Yeah, I'm with Josh on this one. I'm going with the Browns. They are hot right now. They have the momentum, and Denver is just coming off a loss against San Francisco. So I'm going with Cleveland at the Mile High Stadium. The first Sunday game is between the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears.
Well, we put Chicago in our top 5 for a reason, and I think that the Bears will find a way to defeat the Packers. Give me the Bears.
Yeah, give me the Bears as well.
Yeah.
I just don't think too much.
Yeah. Also, Chicago. Same reasoning as Derek. They are a top 3, top 5 team right now. The Packers are clearly not. Chicago. And second game on Sunday, Detroit Lions at the Buffalo Bills.
I already know how Toby feels about this one. Again, I don't like either of these teams because they're on and off each week. I'm gonna give it to the Lions just simply because I saw them play competitive against the Rams recently. Give me the Lions.
Yeah, give me the Lions.
All right,
I like
Josh
them too.
agrees with me.
Yeah, I'm again going with the bold prediction here. I'm going with the Bills at home right now.
All right.
I don't know how the weather situation is up there in Buffalo, but with Detroit being an indoor team, I see might be a slight advantage for the Bills if the weather might be cold and snowy. So,
Mhm.
and the Bills are kind of
Yeah.
getting something going with Josh Allen up there. But yeah, I'm going with the Bills. Just a feeling. And next game is between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Baltimore Ravens.
Toby, you got to play the "I Got a Feeling" song with that last pick. I just got a feeling. Give me the Ravens this week. Ravens will be able to slow down the Buccaneers, and I think Lamar, knowing that he's going to start, I think he'll be able to get something figured out. It'll be a low-scoring game, but give me the Ravens.
Yeah, I'll go with Derek on this one, just because I believe in him. I got a feeling he's right.
You're a smart man. You're a smart man.
Yeah, I'm also going with the Ravens here. Tampa Bay, despite being a good team over the last 3 weeks, and Jameis Winston looking like he might bounce back from struggles early in the season. I'm also going with the Ravens. With how they're playing right now, they just look better than the Bucs do. And at home, Baltimore is a tough team to beat.
Yeah.
Next game is between the Cardinals and the Falcons.
Give me the Falcons this week.
Yeah, give me the Falcons as well.
Yeah, I'm also going with the Falcons at home against the struggling Arizona team.
Yeah.
Next matchup is between the Oakland Raiders at the Cincinnati Bengals.
I wanted to pick Oakland for the sheer fact of what happened last week, but I don't know if I'm ready to hype on that yet. I think that given the Raiders defense is still struggling, I think that the Bengals will find enough at home to figure it out. Give me the Bengals.
Give me the Raiders. I just don't trust the Bengals right now. Give me the Raiders.
Yeah, I have the same feeling as Josh. I'm just not trusting the Bengals enough right now. And Oakland, I don't know what's been going on with them the last couple of weeks. They kind of have a high right now. They have the momentum. I'm taking that over Cincinnati right now. The next game is between the Tennessee Titans and New York Giants.
All right, I'm going on the hype train here. I said it earlier in the recap from last week. The Giants' offense has just been amazing. I don't know if the Titans can really slow them down. Give me the Giants.
Yeah. Oh God, here's not Titans. Giants. God, I had like an
There you go. There you go.
And the Giants. I just trust the Giants.
I'm going with the Giants right now as well. I don't think that Tennessee can keep up with what they delivered last week, especially Derrick Henry. I mean,
I think that game was like the peak of his career.
Yeah, it was a career game for him. I don't think he can replicate this week. Sorry, Josh, for your fantasy team, but no way.
How many points did you end up getting that week? Hold on. How many points?
33.
Yeah, this guy
233?
scoring 233.9
what
points, I
what did
think, in a
Burst-
standard scoring
What did Bert
PPR league.
Smallers get?
32 points.
He had 30. No, he didn't. 32.
I'm going to bring it up for you really quick. Hold on. I got it.
Yes.
Okay,
I got
wait,
it.
Toby, what was the stat that you just said? For Josh's fantasy, what did you say it was?
Yeah, he came up with 233.9 points in a standard scoring PPR league with one individual defensive player. The highest
It's
score
unbelievable.
after Josh was 132. He beat everybody in the league by 100 points.
Wasn't that 132? Wasn't that me? Or
No,
was that... I thought it was me.
It could be
No,
you, but
You're at 119, Jack. You had 119.
Okay, so he beat me by over 100. Dude, like, no, like he had 32 points before that
Yeah.
Rams game.
Yeah, here it is. Ready? Here it is.
Yeah.
I
Let's
won
do
233.9 to 36.3.
I mean, people, every single one of his players was averaging 30 points a piece.
yeah,
Derrick
just saying,
Henry.
this guy had Tom Brady, Derrick Henry, George Kittle, Tyreek Hill, and T.Y. Hilton on his team last week.
And each of them, they averaged 31 or 32 points each.
Hang on, here.
Lowest out of all. Yeah,
Bring up the
read them
fantasy.
off.
All right, ready? Tom Brady, 32.6. Derrick Henry, 48.8. LeGarrette Blount, 5.1. Tyreek Hill, 22.5. T.Y. Hilton, 28.9. Greg Kittle, 34 points. Smith-Schuster, 33 points. Myles Garrett, 7 points. Pittsburgh's defense and special teams, 5. Mike Bagley of the L.A. Rams, 17 points from a kicker.
17 points. That's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
And it's the LA Chargers, not the LA Rams. But
it
sorry
was the
for
try.
that quick excursion there for
That was
some
funny
fantasy
to listen
football.
to
Oh, yeah, never mind.
that.
Well, it's another Los Angeles team. I was in the area.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going with the Giants as well against the Titans. The next game up is between the Miami Dolphins at the Minnesota Vikings.
If this was in Miami, I would give it to the Dolphins, but I think that it being back home with the Vikings, I think they're going to try to get some revenge on the Dolphins here. I think they're going to try to solidify this week that they're a playoff team. Give me the Vikings.
Give me the Dolphins. I mean, it's the Dolphins.
Yeah,
Give me the Dolphins.
I don't see the Dolphins as strong as they looked with the W against the Patriots. I mean, I've said it before. The Patriots are always looking weak against the Dolphins. And at home, the Vikings, yeah, there might be some confusion without their standard offensive coordinator right now. But I still got to give it to the Vikings right now.
Yes.
Next matchup is between the Washington Redskins and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Again, it's the matchup that has no quarterback, pretty much. They got no quarterback playing this game. It will be a game dominated in the trenches. I think that Adrian Peterson is questionable to play in this game. I think that Jacksonville is going to look to try to salvage something out of this season after that humiliating loss against the Titans. Give me the Jaguars.
Yeah, give me the Jags as well. I mean, you got to keep in mind their defense is still elite. They're just not playing like it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, their defense is elite, but they can't score over 10 points in a game. That's their problem. And I think it's Washington. It's going to be a bad
come
game
on, dude.
for
They
sure.
got Mark Sanchez. Butt Fumble Sanchez is being their quarterback. Come on.
They benched him. They have, what is it, Josh Johnson?
John Johnson, yeah, I think is his name.
I'm going with Washington on this one. I can't get...
Bro, their quarterback had to literally go on Madden to know who his teammates were.
I
Are
mean,
you kidding me?
No,
Blake
no,
Bortles
I'm
has
not
to go on
kidding.
Madden to complete a pass.
Truth. But yeah, Josh, I'm not
feel
kidding.
like
Their
Doug Bowles could
quarterback
advertise.
literally had to go on Madden to figure out who his teammates' names were.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Jacksonville against the Colts, 6 points. Jacksonville against Tennessee last week, 9 points.
Yeah, but I mean, those were pretty decent defenses, though. That was the thing, though. The Colts have had a pretty good defense, and so do the Titans. The Redskins practically have no defense at this point.
I'm still going with the Redskins in this game. But the
all
next,
right, Josh, you're on the right side of this one, Josh. We'll
the next
celebrate
game
that
up
one
is
later on.
between the Dallas Cowboys and the Indianapolis Colts.
Colts Nation, we're going to celebrate that W. We will put it to Skip Bayless, and he will not be allowed to trounce us and our quarterback again. Give me the Colts.
Well, I know I had the Cowboys at number 5. And I know that I picked the Texans to beat the Colts last week. So give me the Colts in this one. I learned my lesson not to listen to my
don't pick against them.
Yeah, I'm also giving it to Indy. I put them ahead of the Cowboys in my power rankings as well. And like I said, there aren't many teams that beat the Colts right now in this league, especially when the Colts are playing at home. So should be a W for Indy there. Then we got the Seattle Seahawks at the San Francisco 49ers.
Give me the Seahawks here. I think Seattle made a statement game last week. I think that they'll do the same thing against 49ers, especially since it's a divisional rival. Give me Seahawks.
Seattle just got a hockey team, so I think they're just going to get a win.
Yeah.
All right, Josh going with the Seahawks, just if you couldn't hear that. I'm also going with the Seahawks, despite the fact that San Francisco just came off a win against Denver at home as well. So San Francisco is a decent team, but I think Seattle kind of tries to get into the playoffs right now, so they have more of an incentive to win this game. Right. Going with the Seahawks. Then an interesting game this week is between the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Both of these teams have been struggling recently, but it comes down to this, it seems, every year the last couple of years. Patriots, no matter if they're going to Steeler Nation or if they're at home, they just seem to pick apart the Steelers. I don't see any reason why they can't do it again. Give me the Pats.
Ooh, geez, that's hard. And you said this was the Patriots and the Steelers?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Give me the Patriots. The Steelers aren't imploding. I'll take the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm also going with the Patriots. Reports right now are that James Conner is not playing in that game as well, like he was last week against Oakland. And I don't know. Big Ben did not look like he was completely healthy in Oakland, so he might still be a little bit banged up. So I think the Patriots have an advantage there. So I don't like to pick him, but I'm going with the Patriots.
There you go.
Then we got the Sunday night game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the LA Rams.
This has the highest point differential of any game this week, with an 11-point favorite for the Rams. I think that it should be a little higher. I think the Rams win this game.
Yeah, I think the Rams bounce back from that Bears game. Give me the Rams.
Yeah, I'm also going with the Rams. Philadelphia is not the team that they were last year. And Rams playing at home should be an easy pick for the Rams. And the last game, Monday night, NFC South divisional matchup between the New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers.
Toby would be mad at me if I didn't pick the Saints here. I think that ultimately it's like Toby's been saying. Panthers have been struggling. They're going to play New Orleans twice here in the last 3 weeks. I don't see Carolina struggled against the Browns. Please tell me how they're going to play against the Saints.
Yeah.
I really don't think this is much of a competition. Give me the Saints.
Yeah, give me the Saints as well in this one. Don't they win the NFC South if they beat them now, or is it when they beat them in the second?
They won it against the Buccaneers. With the win against the Buccaneers, they sealed it.
Ah.
And yeah, I'm also going with the Saints, of course. And yeah, like I said, I see the Saints winning against Carolina twice. In Carolina, Cam Newton is banged up right now. He is hurt on his throwing shoulder. So their main attack right now is over Christian McCaffrey. And the Saints have one of the best running defenses with with their middle linebacker in the game right now. So I see an easy win for the Saints, even on the road, if they continue to play like they did in the second half against the Bucs. But yeah, that's our predictions for right now. If you don't know exactly what the overview is, if you're watching the video, it will be at the end of the video. If you're listening to us on Spotify, go check out my Twitter. I'm gonna put a picture of the summary up there. But that's it for our podcast right now. Thank you for being here again, guys. And yeah, whether you're watching on YouTube,
subscribe.
Yeah, whether you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. It will be up there. Like the video. If you're watching this or listening to this on Spotify, follow us there. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
See you guys.
Peace.